All right, everyone. Now we have to talk about who forced Joe Biden out. Who forced him to stand down out of the race? I can answer this question. We simply have to do a bit of inference. There's a link in the description, archived, of course. Interesting article sort of asking, who was responsible for this. Well, that would require journalistic integrity that clearly doesn't exist. And so journalists won't ask the question. We don't really need to ask the question, though. It's self-evident what happened with Joe Biden. The powers that be within the Uniparty, globalists in general, so all the big power players, the banksters, the corporatists, the military brass, and of course political insiders, the Obamas and Clintons and Pelosi's of the world. They saw Joe Biden's performance and they said, we don't care that you are effectively cognitively impaired. That's not the problem. The problem is that now the public is aware that you're cognitively impaired. Ergo, you can't win. What they're afraid of is that Donald Trump is going to get another 4 years to stymie them. That's what they're afraid of. They're trying to cast him off as dictatorial right now over a heavily clipped soundbite, actually, from his rally the other day, where he talks about the fact that people won't need to vote in 4 years. That's because he intends to fix all of the problems that Biden created over the last 4 years in his next 4-year term. It's not because he doesn't want people to vote, it's just he's saying, I'll solve these problems, we'll get to work right away. They're casting him off as authoritarian while being authoritarians. The Soroses and the Gates of the world are afraid of Trump because they want a world in which the United States is not a significant power, not on the level that it is now. They want more of like an EU-style system. So within the EU, you have multiple, or within Europe in general, we can include the UK even though they had Brexit. You have the UK, you have France, you have Germany, Poland is rising, that's why they castigate them all the time, etc., etc. You have multiple major players with large economies and large military presences trying to cooperate together. This is to the detriment of the populations within those nations. The cooperation that they have in mind is not live and let live, everyone fucking get along, where we can get past war, we can trade freely, people can produce freely. Under such a system, you need less government, you need less regulation, right? If people are getting along. You don't have a war going on somewhere. You don't have anything distracting people, the bread and circus and stuff like that. People tend to get along. While we may have evolved from a common ancestor with chimpanzees, unfortunately, instead of bonobos, generally people are capable of being good neighbors and not fighting all of the time. Can they be litigious? Yes, absolutely. Can they be violent? Yes, you're going to get the odd serial killer and stuff like that. Most people, they want to produce, they want the fruits of their labor, and they want to be relaxed. They want to be comfy. Go on vacation once in a while and mix it up with other people. Have a couple of cold drinks on a hot summer day or a nice mulled wine on a cold winter's day and stuff like that. They want a cozy lifestyle. That is no longer within reach for the average person in the world. The globalists are exploiting this. They're exploiting the worst of human tendencies and trying to crack them apart due to ethnicity, gender, however many you believe exist, by the way, their creed, their religion, and things like that. Every time that governments do this, they're trying to exploit their own population. They're trying to prevent... The rise of the United States was the idea of togetherness, to create a whole, basically. To create a more perfect union, by the way, progressively progressing it, not in the progressive sense. That was the whole point. Hey, we've come from different European backgrounds, but we're all, American. It doesn't really matter anymore. We're going to form our own nation with blackjack and hookers, and you fuck off, basically. Globalism should be seen as an attempt to take the new world and make it into the old world model, where people are split apart, where people are subjects rather than citizens, where they have to rely on government for as much as possible and be regulated in every manner of life. The idea of the United States was, I'm going to drink whiskey, shoot a deer, and fuck the government. Fuck you, fuck your church, fuck everything. I'm going to do what I want. It was based on rugged individualism. The people that founded the nation, other than the intellectual elites that were there, were mostly a bunch of brigands and pirates and people that wanted to wander off into the woods to go hunting and trapping and not see society or bathe for like 6 months at a time. That's basically the founding of the nation. Just look at the Oregon Trail if you don't believe me. Watch a couple documentaries about that, especially about Donner Pass, actually. Joe Biden was therefore forced out because he was incapable of winning. They're putting their money on Kamala Harris, and they're trying to mint her as the progressive it girl right now to try to counterbalance the old white Donald Trump. All of a sudden, age is an issue in the campaign, as I've explained several times already in the past couple of days. That was entirely predictable. They're trying to cast her off as the it girl because they want to have an empty suit that clearly isn't fully coherent at times, although she does have some will of her own, that agrees with their globalism. Simply because they want to win the election. That's why Joe Biden was forced out. Until that debate, he was the incumbent. He was clearly going to be the nominee. And by the way, when several clankers have said, well, Sticks, you predicted that Joe Biden would inevitably be the nominee. He was going to be inevitably the nominee. It's just that he fucked up so fucking bad because of his fucking health problems that he was no longer a viable candidate. He was definitely going to be nominee unless something like that happened. By the way, I think I pointed that out actually. Well, if there's like a health problem or something like that, then he'll be forced out. Well, he's been forced out. And it was by the Obamas, the Clintons, bankers, the Bill Gateses of the world, the George Soroses of the world. That's who forced him out. It's an entire nexus of individuals. There was no singular point. All of these people work together. Corporations, for instance, they want free trade for themselves. Look at the TPP, for example, which Kamala Harris would definitely revive. But they don't want it for me. They don't want it for you. No, our trade is regulated. They want to be free to exploit people in any continent that they should want. Free travel for them, regulated travel for you. They've got their private jets. They don't have any problem with it. They're free to buy filet mignon, but you need to eat the cricket burger. They brag about this. They literally tell us this. They brag about it on a regular basis. It's just like the connection between the state-run legacy media and the Biden White House. They bragged about the fact that they were coordinating with the White House on economic messaging. That's why you see so many fluff pieces even though inflation's still above 2%. That's why you see so much of this bullshit. It's literally naked propaganda. It's transparent. They're telling you this straight up. They're telling you who they are. That's the problem. There are some people, they see the size of the monumental hydra that is the uniparty system in the United States and globalism in general, and their eyes glaze over. They do the fluoride stare thing because they're like, it's so massive that they can't even comprehend it. Well, I mean, it is possible to fight it off. It's been done before successfully by numerous parties, by the way. You just have to have the will to do so. But in order to tackle a problem, you have to understand the problem and acknowledge that it exists. And a lot of people, their nose is just buried in their phone all day, and so they're not going to do jack shit about it. That's about all. Peace out.